Big moment for Shaq last night. The Magic retired his jersey in Orlando, where he spent the first 4 years of his career and led them to their first ever NBA Finals appearance. Shaq is just the fourth player to have his jersey retired with at least 3 different franchises, along with Bill Russell, Wilt Chamberlain, Pete Maravich. Okay, Mad Dog.
Yeah.
My fellow historian.
Yes.
My fellow professor.
Oh, my God.
Fellow angry dog. Tell me this. Are you good with the Magic?
Maravich, by the way, with New Orleans, he had the LA, he went to LSU. So that it's really kind of two. Listen, I'm a Shaq fan, and I was in Orlando when I got the team. I saw Pat Williams and all the guys. He was there 4 years. They got swept by the Bulls horrifically in his last year. They got murdered by Olajuwon. Why don't we, where Scott Skiles is next? I mean, my goodness gracious. He bailed, he went to the Lakers, and the Magic fell apart for eons. I got to be fair. I mean, it's 4 years. They did not win. They got smoked in the final, and all power to them. D'Amato got him out of there to go play with Kobe in L.A., for crying out loud. Yet now we're going to retire his jersey? That's a little rough. I can see if they won a championship. I can see if they beat Jordan and they got mauled by the Bulls.
I mean,
they got killed.
They got destroyed.
They got killed. And
he was pretty good.
You don't think he put Orlando on the map?
Oh, no.
And that's where he made his name?
No, Lakers.
Definitely made his name.
Lakers.
Okay.
Lakers.
Okay.
This is, you cannot be, this is ridiculous. I mean, again, Scout, how about Nick Anderson? We'll do him too. That is Scout.
Let's let Stephen A. I want to hear from Stephen A.
I'm going to say this to you. In Shaq's 4 seasons with the Magic, 27.2 points per game, second in the NBA to Michael Jordan, led the league 58% shooting, all 4 years, averaged 12.5 rebounds, which also led the NBA. 4 All-Star selections in 4 seasons, reached an NBA Finals, went to 2 conference finals. Having said that, to shock the world, I agree with Doggy.
Wow. I'm
I
calling
agree
Shaq.
with Doggy.
Well, that's right.
Let me say this. I understand what the Magic is doing, and I'm getting ready to drop that. But from a basketball perspective, when you talk about retiring jerseys, there's usually a significantly lengthier period of time that you spent with the franchise. That was not what happened here. Now, I will say this. The Orlando Magic have never won a championship, okay? So we got to take that into consideration. He is clearly the greatest player in franchise history. We have to acknowledge that. We also have to acknowledge the fact that, I mean, again, what else do you have to cheer for? And here's the biggest thing. He still lives there. He still has a home there. All of those years, whether he was in L.A., Miami, or anywhere else, he never gave up his crib. When he retired, when he announced his retirement, Shaquille O'Neal did it from his home in Orlando. How will I know? I was there. It's the same crib that he's had. He loves it there. He loves the people there. He's very philanthropic, very charitable. He is entrenched in that Orlando community. They love the ground he walks on. So it makes sense. But what Doggy is saying from a purely basketball standpoint, to be there just 4 years.
You just made the argument against yourself. Go ahead,
And these
Monica.
things are not purely basketball.
Yeah.
Like, I get where you're coming from. But they're not purely basketball.
Which is why I said I understand it.
Right.
But he's talking purely basketball. I'm saying purely from a basketball standpoint, he makes a case.
I completely agree
That's
with
all I'm
the case
saying.
being made. And I think the sticking point in the case actually for me is kind of honestly the way that organization has struggled, frankly, since his departure.
Of course.
Well, they did get to a final with Dwight Howard. Why don't we go out there and put him, make him
Probably next.
You know I had that
Three-time defensive player of the year.
and they won a game in the final. Shaq didn't.
At
So
the
why
end
don't we
of the
make him
day,
that guy?
It's Shaq.
Huh?
It's Shaq. He's one of the most
The
famous
legend grows.
players
Yeah,
ever.
the legend grows.
Okay, I'm going to try to repeat myself
No,
because evidently you didn't hear me.
No,
What
I
I said
heard you,
was,
but
what I said was,
You
is
get it.
that from a basketball perspective, in terms of when that usually happens, that's usually reserved for somebody who spends a lengthier period of time, not just 4 years.
If you will, here,
But-
let's do this, because you're a brilliant businessman. If you own the Orlando Magic,
Right.
would you retire Shaq's jersey and
Yes.
have that moment?
Yes, because again, what I said was
Time
he's
to go to
entrenched.
commercial.
Well, I'm kind of sick, so you're taking advantage when I'm still sick, but that's okay. You're gonna pay. She knows I'm gonna get it back. She knows I'm gonna get it back.
Listen.
So when I get you back, don't get upset, because I got all year to get you. But I'm just not healthy today.
Shaq will be bopping around this weekend in Indianapolis at the celebrity game.
The Orlando Magic did the right thing for their organization and their city because of what he means to them. But from Doggy's historical basketball perspective, people who play 4 years at a place and don't have a championship to show for it don't get their jerseys retired and hanging in the rafters. Especially when you left town to go to Los Angeles when they wanted to keep you. And Jerry West came and got you.
Okay, relax. It's Valentine's Day. Let's try
You know
to
what
all
I'm
be
saying?
nice.
That's all.
All-time great, the greatest ever at his position. Top 5 in the world, top 5 ever, so you give him a look like that for the game, he is licking his chops.
All right. Mad Dog, you just heard KD.
Top
Steph Curry, top
5
5 all
ever.
time. You agree?
No. How do I make him top 5 ever when I got Kareem, Wilt, and Russell, and LeBron and Jordan? That's 5 right there. I didn't give you Magic. I didn't give you Bird. I didn't give you Duncan. I didn't give you Shaq. I mean, how in the world could he be top 5? He's not even better than Durant. And I'm going to have trouble putting Durant in the top 10. Listen, he's a nice shooter. Nobody's arguing with that.
A nice shooter, that is disrespectful and that is messed up.
No, it's not.
Yes, it
Let me
is.
interject. 'Cause
He's an amazing
shooter. Let me
shooter.
interject because this is a quick segment. I get where you're coming from. Here's what, in all seriousness. First of all, I don't put Wilt up in there as phenomenal as he was because he has 2 titles to Bill Russell's 11, and they were nemesis. So I look at it from that perspective, but I get what you're saying. Here's the only part that I want you to understand, and it's just a consideration. No, he may not be top 5, but he's the greatest shooter on earth. He's the greatest shooter we've ever seen. When you consider his range, how you have to guard him from the time he steps past half court, and a defense has to put its head on a swivel. I know that Magic Johnson is the greatest quintessential point guard who ever lived. But when you talk about impact from that position, because of what he creates, the fear, the fright that he implements, that he invokes, because of his marksmanship, I think that you have to look at it from that perspective and easily have him as top 10.
Easily?
Yes, because of the impact he has on offense, because of the range and how accurate, 40% career shooter, 41% shooter from three-point range, and he could pull up from 40. You
got a series to win for your life.
Right.
I gave you a choice. Curry or Bird?
Game winner?
No, to win the series.
Okay.
4 games to get 1 shot. Because I agree with you about that.
Okay, you know what?
You got to take Bird.
I'm going to tell you what I say all the time. I'd give Bird the last 2 minutes almost against
I'm not even talking about that. I'm just talking about overall.
I got to look at Curry too. All right. Well, Bird was a bad brother and big and could do more things. I get that. But I'm just talking about the impact of Curry's shooting ability and what havoc that causes. How do we ignore that as basketball people?
He's a wonderful shooter. I'm not disputing that. But from an overall perspective, you want to put him in the top 10 in the history of the league.
But it's not just about shooting. It's not just like literally just shooting. You literally have the fear of God in you from the time he crosses midcourt.
I understand that.
And that compromises defenses all over the place and opens up the floor for other people around you because you're worried about him pulling up from 40. We've never seen this. Never. That's the difference.
Nice little shooter.